For joining us for our webinar today, Managing Your Aesthetic Practice with the #1 Plastic Surgery Specific EHR NPM. We are going to get started with today's content for you. And to do that, I would like to introduce a few of our folks here. We have Robin Into, our Vice President of Aesthetics, and Roy Scroa, our Solution Engineer from Nextech, who are going to tell you a little bit more about today's content.
Thank you so much, Heather. Looking forward to today. So let's get started. You know, one of the things that we often think about with software is really, what are the problems that we're trying to solve? Can the software actually do it for us? So today, we thought we'd spend just a few minutes just covering what we consider to be the top 3 or 4 problems that a lot of our practices share with us that we're constantly working with them to solve. All right. So that first one that we were thinking about is, how do we ensure that our front desk team, which we like to consider the first impressions team, actually is very patient-centric, focused on that patient that's coming in the door and really giving them that very warm welcome that we all want them to have. And when that front desk staff is thrown so many different tasks, get this, check this, collect this, do this, how do they actually get to do that? So we feel really strongly about this great new feature that we've incorporated into our software that really allows our teams at the front desk to be very focused, be very patient-centric. So I'm going to turn it over to Roy so that he can show you a quick look at that.
All right, and thanks, Robin. My screen should come up shortly here. So like Robin was saying, our front desk staff wear a lot of hats. They're moving fast. They have a lot to keep track of, and we need to give them tools to be able to manage all of that. So one of the tools we put together stems from our scheduler module. We built this feature called the Check-in, Check-out Center. This guy is really neat because it's showing us everybody who's scheduled today, everyone who's in the practice, everyone who we saw, or anyone who no-showed. We can use filters to expand or narrow down these results too. But what, as front desk staff, like, yeah, it's cool to see everyone who's scheduled today, but also we need a bunch of information about them. So at the very top level, we can see these little, warning symbols that are indicating that these appointments are unconfirmed. So we can see at a glance who's confirmed. From here, if we look at the top, I can sort these appointments if I only wanted to see my AM or PM. But over in the top right, I can expand everybody and get a picture of what's going on. Has anybody updated their portal? We've got icons to indicate these things. If people have updated their portal accounts, we need this part of what we're managing as front desk staff as part of the most important part of this. So we can see at a glance all of our patients and what's going on here. But when we go to check in a specific patient, we're going to have an information panel pop up from the bottom. This is going to be the rest of the information that we need. So we know if they updated their portal account, but did they fill out their specific forms? We can see here that this patient actually did. So on a case-by-case basis for each patient, we can see who's filled out their forms and how we're going to address each patient that comes in. Are we going to keep an iPad up front to have them fill out these forms? Or are we going to send them an invite to their phone to get them to fill that stuff out? It's a really easy and powerful tool to stay on top of that stuff. Then for those of you who do insurance visits, maybe recons and stuff like that, we're also going to see if we have their insurance and if their insurance is good, real-time eligibility. And we'll also get a little bit of information about them and some billing information, like do they owe a balance, or for those insurance practices, do we need like a co-payment? And these widgets down here are modular, so you don't care about insurance, we'll just pull that off. You can swap it out with something that's more relevant. But overall, the check-in, check-out center is just a great tool that makes front desk staff life easier by giving them the tools they need to manage all this stuff that they're staying on top of. And this is really just one of the tools that we've built to make the front desk staff life easier specifically. So I'm gonna go ahead and toss it back.
All right, thanks so much.
All right. Let's go on and let's talk about another feature that we feel is really helpful, especially with our patients that come in and are interested in a procedure. And, that really is around how do we manage those opportunities that are presented to us. So the patient comes in, they're interested in Botox, or maybe they're interested in some sort of elective procedure, whether it's a breast augmentation or liposuction. But what we're really focused on is, how do I quote efficiently and quickly? How do I present it professionally to the patient? And then how do I make sure with as few clicks as possible, I'm getting that done? But then how do I track that afterwards? How do I actually see what's on the books? What kind of opportunities do I have that I can still work in my pipeline? So let's take a quick look at what we've done in the system to actually try to check all those boxes.
All right, thanks, Robin. So yeah, quoting and managing quoted procedures is a big deal. So let's just walk through a tiny bit of this. So I'm inside a patient account here. I'm gonna go ahead and just check out the price quote area, and I'm going to add a quote. Now, quotes in Practice Plus, very flexible. We understand different providers may want different quotes. You know, maybe you want different quotes for different procedures. So we let you build all that stuff out here. So I'm just gonna call this guy test. We've got our provider selected. We're going to do an abdominoplasty. So my provider has different forms for the different procedures they provide. When we're quoting, we can quote anything that we charge to the patients, packages included. But I'm just going to go ahead and search for a surgery here. We're going to do our abdominoplasty today. So as you search, it's going to narrow down by the letters that you're typing in. I'm just going to select what I'm adding here. I could add some more. Maybe we're doing an abdominoplasty and, you know, cool sculpting or something. We could add whatever we needed to. So I'm going to add our items. Super simple. And from here, we'll choose, you know, how long is this procedure going to be? That's going to help calculate our facility fees. You know, are these inside outside fees? Where are they being paid to? Same with anesthesia. We'll say we're contracting our outside vendor for that. You know, also real fast, are we going to maybe give them a discount for, you know, paying cash, or why not? To the whole quote or specific line items, we'll give them the whole quote. Say we're giving 10% today. Easy, easy, easy quoting. So, you know, we want to give them a nice professional quote. And I was telling you they're all customizable, but, you know, they're going to look really nice out of the box. You have a lot of control over this. Super easy to do. Give this to the patient and attach it to their account as well. Then on the, you know, while you have these quotes built out, there's a tracking system that keeps track of the quotes to make sure nobody's falling through the cracks. And then at the end of the day, you know, you're going to want to be able to report on this stuff too. So we've got a couple really nice quotes built, or reports built out here. In fact, the entire report system is really nice in Practice Plus. So, you know, if you wanted to just track down your quotes, we have a report for open quotes. So you can look specifically at quotes that either still haven't been converted or that are scheduled. And then what everybody really, really loves is our surgery income reports. So we can actually show you based off of what's been performed here. I'm going to go ahead and pull some data from, you know, the year to date. With this report, you can get a good look at, you know, what you've done, the money that you've brought in, and it's also going to subtract your average provider cost to give you a better idea of your actual ROI here. So, you know, we got everything that you need to track the process, to quote out your, you know, procedures, packages, whatever you want. You know, track the patients, make sure nobody's fallen through the cracks, and report on everything at the end of the day. You know, just making everything as simple and straightforward as possible so you can stay on top of managing your business. So I'm gonna go ahead and toss it back. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Royce. Really, really great stuff. Just wanted to remind everyone, if you have any questions, go ahead and enter those questions into the Q&A section in the GoToWebinar control panel, and that will then allow us to sort through those questions and answer those at the end of the session. We did a really short session today, trying to be very focused on people and their time and their commitment and their availability. So trying to cover a lot. All right, let's look at another section. We know that the clinical teams and the providers really are trying to, again, focus on the patient. A lot going on, but they also have to document, and we know that a lot of times we hear providers complain about how many clicks they have to just to complete a note, or you know, it takes too long to do it, or they find at the end of the day they've got too many notes to finish or sign off on. And so we feel strongly that one of the things that we've done is not just in our first version or second version, but looking at how we have actually iterated and watched and talked to our practices to understand what are the needs that our providers have, what are the needs that our clinical staff have, to actually facilitate getting the documentation done, but also getting it done correctly to support all regulatory and or board specifications. So we've done a lot of work in that area over the years, and we feel strongly that this is a great solution, and we have a lot of feedback from our practices showing that. So let's take a look at what we've done. So I'm going to turn that back over to Royce so he can give you a tour on that.
All right, thanks, Robin. Screen should pop up any second now. All right, so I've just logged into my iPad app, and this is the landing screen. And I'm really excited to show this off because, like what Robin was talking about, the clinical workflows are really superior with our user guilds that have helped us build out our content over the years, and the customization abilities inside here is just untouchable. So I'm going to show off the iPad app for a few minutes, and we're going to do some charting, show how simple it is, how streamlined it is, and how much this can change your life. So this is the landing page when you first log into the iPad app. The screen real estate is divided in half. The left-hand side, we're looking at our daily schedule. And the right-hand side shows stuff that needs your attention. So whether you, maybe you didn't sign every single chart while you're in the room with a patient, and you need to make sure that nobody's falling through the cracks. The EMNs in the top right there, those are the charts that are ready for you to sign. Or maybe you had an MA or a scribe work up a chart and you need to pick up from there. They're waiting for you right there behind EMNs needing attention. Or maybe you're an MD and you need to sign off on other providers' notes. It's all going to be there for you. Everything is going to be fed to you so you don't have to go find the stuff. You don't have to go hunting for it. Also, if you need labs, we've got a full bi-directional HL7 interface, tasking, and prescribing through the iPad. I want to talk really quick a little bit more about the left-hand side. In the top left corner, we have our room manager. If you look in the bottom center, you can see I'm focused just on my rooms, but I could also see all the rooms in the practice and where everybody is, all of my patients. But I see a lot of clinicians actually live out of here, where they're looking at their room, seeing when somebody is checked in, and then we can also use custom statuses to say, ready for doctor, ready for nurse, or, specifically a person's name, if that makes sense, with Shannon, for example. This is just a powerful tool so you know when patients are ready, when it's time to go see them. I see this being like the mainstay for a lot of clinicians. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab a patient here. I'm going to grab the second patient on the left, Amanda Fox. I'm going to open up her account. Again, the screen real estate is divided in half. We have mostly patient info on the left and clinical info on the right. We have, a little bit of a clinical summary on the left here. We've got their general demographics, internal notes, their appointment history. Right-hand side, we're looking at their most recent chart. We also have just above that in the EMN list button, we have their entire chart history, but you never have to actually open a previous note to catch up on a patient. You can actually take any important information that you're documenting in whatever area you choose, where you document the important information that you need to see before checking in with the patient. And we're going to put that in the summary tool that's in the very top right corner. And this will show you the history of any items that you want to see where you've documented stuff over the history. In this example, I'm just seeing the Botox history, and I see where I put how many units of Botox for however many visits over time. All right, so I don't want you ever opening a previous note to have to go dig up information. We're going to put it there for you so it's one touch away. So beyond their current chart, their chart history, their labs will live here to do alarms. Photos also live on the iPad, so you can do cool stuff like if you wanted to show maybe a before and after photo while you're in the room with the patient, you can do that. It's just a nice little tool there. All right, and then the history tab is just any documents that are uploaded for the patient. So, all right, I want to do some charting because Robin was hinting at, how smooth the charting goes. So what I'm going to do on the left-hand side in that toolbar, right in the center, it says Create EMN. I'm going to click there. I'm going to grab my cosmetic visit chart, and I'm going to start an office procedure. Now, everything that you see, even from where I was just selecting in that menu, everything from there moving forward is customizable. The way that the EMNs are grouped and every single element of these charts. Now, my office procedure note starts with a narrative at the top that has some patient information. Whatever I care about, I'm going to have it bring in there. We've got patient hidden notes and reason for visit. Patient hidden notes will never print, and then reason for visit actually comes from the portal. If the patient fills out their forms, like we saw in the check-in, check-out center, the information will be there for you, what they actually said. But the first time I'm actually going to touch this note, I'm going to select office procedures today. So that's one click. This is my list of procedures. This is customizable completely. So the second click will be Botox today. and I'm already going to be at my allergen face, right? So now we can start charting, but there's stuff on here already, right? And that's by design. I have this item set up to, it's called remember. So it's always going to pull forward the most recent treatment. So, we see this patient a lot. We do the same treatment all the time. There's no reason for us to have to document it over and over again. There's lots of other reasons to pull forward information from visit to visit. But let's say we're actually doing something different today. I'll go ahead and, I could use my eraser and erase individual stamps on here. I can hit the clear and erase everything and just start fresh. So I'm going to grab my stamps. I'm set up with all of my injectables on the right. I was going to grab some Botox here. I'll just, do some, just indicate where I put my Botox. Maybe we'll go crazy on the frown lines here. So just by touching that allergen chart there, pushing forward, Next Tech has created my treatment table. So I've got, my anatomic location, the treatment, and from here, all we have to do is select our dilution and our volume and anything else that we track about the syringe. And if you don't track this stuff, we'll just pull it out there so you don't have to worry about it. Now, all that came from me just doing a chart, just tapping where I actually filled out the Botox. And then if I look at the billing on the left-hand side, we can see that I put 34 units of Botox on that chart. 34 units are ready to be charged for the patient. It's all tied together. From here, we could also, take before and after photos while we're in the room with the patient. We could, if you don't like charting on an allergen face, you could, use a patient photo instead. We got all our different color palettes and thicknesses. You can draw on here, do whatever you want. Easy to do. Take photos with the iPad as well. All right. So then, we're done here. There's other options, but from here, we're probably just going to sign and lock the chart. It's going to automatically time and date stamp it for me. And we're going to be done with this patient. Everything is going to be ready for checkout. At this point, we can walk the patient up front, and everything. The checkout desk has everything that they need from there. So, that was a pretty just real quick and dirty example of how this EMR charting flows so smoothly. I'm going to go ahead and toss it back over to Robin. See what else we got.
Thanks, Royce. That was great. I love how quick we were able to get through that note, and especially as an injector really is trying to focus on the patient. They want to get their note done. They've got to turn over the room. They've got to go get the next patient in the room. And all of this is supposed to happen within a very short amount of time, especially when they're booked back to back. So it's really great to see where a provider, a nurse injector, or a PA, or an NP, or even a physician is just trying to get through the note quickly, and this allows them to do that in a very fluid format. So really great to see that. Let's see, we've got a few more minutes. I don't see any questions in our chat. So you know what, Royce, why don't we go into one more feature that's one of my top faves, and let's talk a little bit about inventory. Inventory is one of those areas where we're constantly trying to chase consumables, and we're trying to make sure that we've got quantities on hand. We want to make sure that, there's so many different nuances to it these days that some people feel like it can be a full-time job. Well, how do we make it efficient and easy and trackable, especially when some of those things like toxins and fillers can be so expensive to a practice to maintain and manage? So let's take a quick look and see what we've done to actually streamline this and build some efficiency into the process. All right, Royce, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Robin. And we were talking earlier about how front desk running around, they're super busy and have a lot of hats that they're wearing and have a lot to manage, but completely ignoring office managers and people who are in the back end managing all the inventory and everything else going on. So we need to provide them some tools as well to make their life easier. And our inventory module really shines at that. So when you log in, you have a dashboard that's going to give you a top-down view of everything that's going on with the practice and trends and what's going on. You also have full inventory management list. This guy, it does everything that you would want, everything that you could imagine and more, really. Like if you wanted to track where your inventory is, if you wanted to say, I keep my Botox vials in closet A on shelf 5, you can track it to that granular level if you want. I'm going to just jump into one of these inventory items here. We're going to track the unit that you order, if it comes in a kit or maybe a vial, right, for Botox. And we're going to track the unit of dispensing, which would be the units or the milliliters for in that Botox example. You can also track your orders in the system. So you can, marking inventory arrived is super easy. That way, if you order stuff from a supplier, chances are you're not ordering one item, you're probably ordering like a dozen different items. So when you track your orders in the system and you mark them arrived, you can use a barcode scanner to do it, and it's just going to check off what you've actually received, and it'll automatically update all of the inventory items on your order, so you don't have to go to each individual item to make that happen. There's also a slew of reports in here, including, reports driven by artificial intelligence. There's PAR reports. You've got slow and fast moving inventory. You've got profit reports, because we're going to track your cost, and it's a dynamic field, so we're going to track over time. Profit by supplier, individual quantities or quantities by supplier, different suppliers that are moving fast and slow. There's really some really powerful insights that you can get into how your inventory is moving when you're using our inventory module. So whether you're, ordering inventory, tracking it through the system, dispensing inventory and managing the different volumes of how it's stored versus how it's dispensed, tracking where the inventory is, doing reconciliation to, minimize shrink and stay on top of everything in the office, our inventory module is going to have you covered. And, if you have multiple locations, we're going to track inventory by location, transfer between them if you need to. This tool really does so much. We should set up its own meeting just to go over the inventory stuff. So I don't want to get too deep, but if you guys have any questions or anything, I'd be happy to answer them. But I'm going to go ahead and kick it back over to you, Robin.
Thank you, Royce. All right. It doesn't look like we have any questions today. So at this time, I will go ahead and consider this webinar complete, and we will make this available to those of you that attended. And if there are ever any questions, you can reach out to one of our client success team members or sales team members, and we'll be happy to either set up an individual demo for you or another time to actually review some of the fun things that we covered today. Thank you very much for attending.